My 15-year-old daughter, Chloe, looked her stepmom straight in the eye and said, "You're not my mom. I don't care that you're sick." I froze. Time kind of stopped in that moment. Her stepmom, Lisa, had just been diagnosed with cancer. My ex-husband's face turned red with fury, and all I could think was, what do I even do with this? My ex demanded that Chloe apologize immediately. He wanted me to ground her for a month, maybe longer, until she learned her place. But I didn't. I refused. And now I can't stop wondering, was I protecting my daughter or letting her be cruel? Before you decide for yourself, let me take you back to where this all began. Because Chloe's words didn't come out of nowhere. To really understand why Chloe said what she said, you need to know what happened years ago. I still remember the day like a scar that never quite fades. I had just given birth to my son Jacob. The delivery was complicated. I was weak, hooked up to machines, fighting just to recover. And while I was lying there in that hospital bed, my husband, the man I thought I'd spend my life with, walked out on me. He left me for her. For Lisa. You can imagine what that does to a person. Not just the betrayal itself, but the timing. When you're at your lowest, when you're supposed to be surrounded by love and support, that's when he decided to go. But it didn't stop there. Lisa and my ex tried to take my children from me. They used my recovery, my vulnerability, as a weapon. They pushed for custody, claimed I wasn't strong enough to be a mother. And for almost 2 years, I fought tooth and nail to keep Chloe and Jacob with me. The divorce dragged on endlessly. Courtrooms, lawyers, accusations. He tried to take the house, insisted it was all his. In the end, it was sold and the money split evenly. But the damage, that was already done. And if the legal fight wasn't brutal enough, the emotional one was worse. He admitted in court that every decision he made would be with Lisa and never with me. The judge didn't take kindly to that and gave me sole authority over the kids' medical and educational decisions. But even with that, the wounds ran deep. My marriage didn't just collapse. My family was shattered. And the kids? They were caught right in the middle. And that's where the seeds of resentment toward Lisa were planted. Seeds that grew quietly for years, until everything boiled over. After the divorce, things didn't magically settle. If anything, the next few years were some of the hardest for Chloe and Jacob. My ex and Lisa weren't just trying to be a new family. They were trying to erase me. They pushed the kids to call Lisa mom. Not just once, not just casually, but over and over, as if saying it enough times would make it true. And when the kids resisted, they were scolded, told they were being disrespectful. Lisa herself? She made it clear she wanted that title. I remember one session where Chloe came home in tears, saying Lisa had told her, "One day, you'll see me as your real mom." Chloe was only 7. Imagine being 7 years old and hearing that. And it wasn't just words. My ex and Lisa fought to stop the kids from seeing their therapist. Every step of the way, they undermined me, painted me as the villain. The court actually had to step in. They were ordered to do co-parenting classes, therapy, and even supervised visitation at one point. That's how toxic things had become. But the truth is, you can't erase a mother. You can't undo those bonds. And Chloe and Jacob, they noticed everything. They saw how Lisa treated me. How she smiled sweetly in public but made comments behind closed doors. How she would roll her eyes at any mention of me. Slowly, quietly, their resentment grew. By the time they were teenagers, the relationship was strained, to say the least. They tolerated Lisa, but there was no love there. No warmth. Just this unspoken wall between them. And then came the diagnosis. The moment everything would come crashing down. It was about 2 months ago when the news dropped. Lisa had cervical cancer. I'll be honest, when I first heard, I didn't feel joy or satisfaction, even after everything she'd done. Cancer isn't something you'd ever wish on anyone. But I knew this was going to change everything. And it did. Almost immediately, my ex started leaning on the kids. Suddenly, Chloe and Jacob weren't just children anymore. They were her babies, as Lisa called them. She told them she needed them more than ever, that they had to help around the house, run errands, even take care of her. Now, imagine hearing that from someone who's spent years tearing down your mom. Someone who tried to take her place. Chloe and Jacob looked at me, confused, angry, exhausted. It felt like the years of bitterness had been bubbling under the surface, and now Lisa's diagnosis was being used as one more reason to demand loyalty from them. And I could see it building in Chloe. That frustration, that refusal to bend anymore. It was only a matter of time before she said what she'd been holding back for years. And when she finally did, It was brutal. It happened on an ordinary evening, the kind of night where nothing seems out of place until it suddenly is. Lisa was sitting in the living room, voice soft but insistent. She looked at Chloe and Jacob and said, "I need my babies now more than ever. You'll help me, won't you?" Jacob froze. He kept his eyes on the floor, the way kids do when they want to disappear. But Chloe? She didn't look away. She stared straight at Lisa, her jaw tight, her fists clenched. And then she said it. "You're not my mom. I don't care that you're sick." The words cut the air like glass shattering. Lisa's face crumbled. My ex shot up from his chair, his voice booming with rage. "How dare you speak to her that way? Apologize right now." Chloe didn't flinch. She just shook her head. And the silence that followed, it felt like the whole world stopped. My ex turned to me next. His eyes were wild, and he shouted, "She's grounded. 30 days. Longer if she doesn't apologize." He wanted me to enforce it, to back him up. But in that moment, I couldn't. I didn't see a cruel teenager. I saw a girl who had spent years being forced into a role she never asked for. A girl finally saying out loud what she'd been made to swallow for nearly a decade. So I said no. I told him Chloe wasn't going to be punished for speaking the truth. That maybe, just maybe, instead of demanding obedience, he should be asking himself why his daughter feels this way. He didn't like that answer. Not one bit. Later that night, after everything had blown up, I sat down with Chloe and Jacob. I needed to hear from them, not just the shouting, not just the anger, but what was really going on in their hearts. Chloe spoke first. Her voice was steady, but there was this weight behind it, years of frustration spilling out at once. She said, "Mom, I hate that they expect us to take care of her. She never cared about you. She never cared if we were hurting. All she wanted was for us to call her mom and pretend you didn't exist. Why should I care now that she's sick?" She looked me right in the eye, and I realized she wasn't being cruel. She was exhausted. This wasn't about cancer. This was about every moment she'd been told her real mother wasn't enough. Then Jacob, my quiet one, finally spoke up. He admitted he hadn't said anything in the moment because he was scared. "If I said what I was thinking, Dad would have punished me too," he whispered. And then he added something that chilled me. "Lisa used to say she wished you'd get sick so she could be the only mom we had." Hearing that broke something inside me. My children had carried these memories, these wounds, for years, quietly, silently, until now. And in that moment, I knew. Their feelings weren't born out of cruelty. They were born out of pain, out of loyalty, out of love for me. And how do you punish that? How do you tell your kids they're wrong for finally speaking the truth? In the days after, the emails from my ex kept coming. Long, angry rants. He accused me of failing as a mother. Said I was poisoning our kids, turning them into heartless people. Said if Chloe didn't apologize to Lisa, she might as well have wished her dead. Every message dripped with blame, with rage. And each one ended the same way. "Did you ground her yet?" And every time my answer was still no. Not because I want my kids to be cruel. Not because I want them to disrespect anyone. But because I can't look at what Chloe and Jacob said and see malice. What I see is honesty. Pain. A truth their father refuses to face. Do I feel guilty? I've asked myself that 100 times. But guilt isn't what I feel. What I feel is conflicted. Parenting doesn't come with a handbook for moments like these. Was I supposed to force an apology? Pretend Lisa had earned their care? Or was it right to protect their voices, even when those voices sounded harsh? Sometimes, doing right by your children means letting them speak the truth, even if it stings. Even if the world calls it disrespect. And so here I am, still wondering if I made the right call. Was refusing to punish Chloe fair parenting, or a mistake I'll regret? So what do you think? Was I protecting Chloe by refusing to punish her, or just teaching her it's okay to be cruel?
Our stories don't end here. I've gathered more voices, more secrets, waiting for you. Pick one and let the tales continue.